For 5 years, she poured every drop of love she had into someone who barely gave her a sip in return. She waited on text replies that never came, made dinner for two when she ate alone, and smiled through nights filled with tears. She wasn't stupid. She was hopeful. But one morning, she woke up and didn't feel like begging for love anymore. She looked at herself in the mirror, eyes tired, heart heavy, and whispered, "I deserve better." That day, she didn't cry when he ignored her call. She didn't apologize for saying no. She didn't shrink to fit into his comfort zone. Instead, she lit a candle, played her favorite music, and danced barefoot in her tiny apartment. Just for herself. Healing didn't happen overnight. Some days still hurt. But with every boundary she set, every smile she gave herself, every night she slept peacefully alone, she returned home. To herself. And she realized she was never too much. She just gave her love to someone who was too little. Now, she's not waiting for love anymore. She is love. She didn't tell anyone how broken she felt. Not after he left, not after the lies, not after she forgot what it felt like to laugh. But JoJo knew. Her orange cat, wild and fluffy like a tiny lion, started sleeping on her chest every night, like he was guarding her heart. She stopped brushing her hair, stopped answering calls. The world felt too loud and she was too tired. But JoJo, he never left her side. He'd paw at her when she didn't get out of bed. Meow nonstop until she opened the window to let in the light. Once he even dragged her favorite book into her lap, the one she stopped reading when her smile disappeared. Little by little, she got up. Not because she was healed, because JoJo reminded her she was still here. She started with small things, making tea, walking barefoot in the grass, writing her name in notebooks again. And every time she doubted herself, JoJo would curl into her lap, look into her eyes, and blink, slow and soft, like he was saying, "You're doing better than you think." Love didn't come back in a text. It came in fur, in purrs, in silent loyalty. And one day, she looked at JoJo and whispered, "Thank you for staying when I couldn't." She used to chased his attention, chased his bare minimum love, chased the version of herself she thought he would finally love enough to stay. But one night, he left her message unread. Again. And instead of crying, she picked up JoJo. He meowed once, then curled into her arms like he'd been waiting for this moment. She realized something. JoJo never asked her to change. He loved her. Messy hair, old sweatpants, tired eyes, and all. That night, she didn't scroll through his profile. She journaled instead. Wrote down every time she dimmed her light for him, every time she said yes when she wanted to scream no. Then she wrote 3 words in bold. "I choose me." JoJo climbed onto her desk and knocked over her makeup mirror. It shattered into pieces. And weirdly, she smiled. Because it was poetic, her reflection breaking. Only to build a better version of herself. The next morning, she made coffee for one, lit a candle, opened the curtains, and JoJo? He jumped onto the windowsill, looked back at her with those wise orange eyes, and blinked. Slow like a whisper. Finally, she didn't chase him this time. She chased peace. The first time she laughed, really laughed, JoJo jumped off the bed and stared at her. It had been months, months of silence, tears, pretending she was okay. She went from glowing to barely existing. Every corner of the apartment reminded her of him. The hallway they danced in, the kitchen where he'd lied just to win, the couch they never really talked on. But JoJo stayed. Through every storm, every tear that fell on the pillow, every night she whispered, "Why wasn't I enough?" But this morning felt different. She played a silly video on her phone and laughed, loud, sudden, from her gut. JoJo looked shocked. Then he did something strange. He pawed at her hand, then purred louder than she had ever heard before, like he had been waiting for her to come back. She picked him up, held him close, and whispered, "I forgot what it felt like to feel like me." JoJo blinked slowly. He understood. And as sunlight poured through the window, she realized the relationship may have broken her, but loving herself would rebuild her. One laugh at a time. If you please share, and subscribe to support our channel. He came back. Of course he did. They always do. When you stop chasing, start glowing, and finally move on. She opened the door. There he was. Same fake charm, same sad excuses, same I miss you that used to melt her. But something had changed. She didn't feel butterflies. She felt boundaries. She didn't rush to forgive. She stood in silence, grounded, glowing, whole. Jojo sat behind her, tail flicking, watching like a tiny orange guardian. The man looked confused. "You're different," he said. She smiled just a little. "No, I'm just not broken anymore." And for the first time, she wasn't scared to close the door. Not out of anger, not for revenge, but out of love for herself. She turned around. Jojo was sitting there, eyes soft, purring like victory. She picked him up, walked to the window, and opened it wide. The wind touched her face like a blessing. She was finally free, free of waiting, free of proving, free of begging for love she now gives herself. And as Jojo purred in her arms, she whispered, "We're home now. If you please share, and subscribe to support our channel."